Here's the man, the father of geology, James Hutton, a member of the Canongate Lodge, United Kingdom, a fellow of the Royal Society, two separate secret societies. But guess who he was good friends with? The grandfather of Charles Darwin, Erasmus Darwin. You remember, evolution needs an old Earth. Well, how convenient the guy who comes up with the old Earth lie, the father of geology, is in the same Masonic lodge at the exact same time. He was also a fellow of the Royal Society. And so you have two people, secret council, just like Isaiah said, turning things upside down, getting people to believe they weren't made by a creator. And then along comes Darwin, repeating his grandfather's lies, the lies of a common ancestor that his grandfather had created. And then he not only married his first cousin that he didn't marry was a man named Francis Galton, used all those lies, old Earth, evolution, and the racist aspects of it to come up with eugenics. It was the belief that we should improve the genetic quality of a human population by preventing the ones that they deemed to be inferior people or races from reproducing while promoting the reproduction of the so-called superior races and genes. And Francis Galton was at the same college as Mr. Aleister Crowley. And they're from the same town. What are the chances? And Mr. Aleister Crowley's satanic book talks about eugenics. Now, the racist aspect in eugenics was directly influenced by racism and evolution, as Charles Darwin's own views popularized the idea of a hierarchy with white Europeans being more evolved and civilized than other savage or barbarous races. And his good friend, the guy that drew these pictures, his name was Ernst Haeckel, friends with Charles Darwin, and his racist ideas were shown in his drawings based on his beliefs. And these drawings shaped the mind of the eugenics program in Nazi Germany. That's why at number 11, you can see that one looks Jewish. And the guy that drew the pictures that helped put about these things, Ernst Haeckel, these are his embryo drawings. Look at the top row. Those are his drawings. See how similar these embryos are? The fish, the salamander, the turtle, the chicken, the pig, the cow. All of these look like us at one point. And so embryology proves evolution, and that's how they're supposed to teach it. However, over 100 years ago, when people were taking photos of embryos, they found out that this guy, Ernst Haeckel, was a deceitful liar. His pictures were fake. Meanwhile, 100 years later or more, his pictures are still in textbooks. Real photos is what we should be using. So we should not be doing cartoon science anymore. We're going to look at one more guy, what they call the founding father of modern geology. This guy was in the Sun God Apollo University Lodge. He was also a fellow of the Royal Society. And one thing he said that caught my attention, in his own words, we need to free the science from Moses. He didn't say Moses never existed. He didn't say there's no proof of the Red Sea crossing. He just said we need to free the science from Moses. In other words, get away from those biblical stuff. There is a bias, and we're told as creationists we can't have a bias. But they can. They have their bias. They put it out there. Their bias, their racist views, all those things, they put them out there, and it still is allowed. And we're going to be showing how freeing science from Moses should never have happened, because we have technology. It's not the 1800s anymore. We have scuba diving technology that's been invented since Charles Lyell brought about his false message that goes against the truth of creation. There's chariot wheels on the bottom of the Red Sea that are still there to this day, gold-plated even. And not only that, the pillar of fire that we read about in Exodus 14, going through as our Father peered out through that fire at the Egyptians. He's looking at them through this fire. And you think to where we are now, the enemy was able to convince these foolish Egyptians, hey, look at all the nice chariots you have. Do you really think a little pillar of fire is going to cause you any harm? Like go around it. Like it's no big deal. Ignore the waters he's parting. Just go on. You can take these people out, these shepherds. And they foolishly went that way. And now we're at a point where they're deceiving the world powers, these unclean spirits, same ones at work, that they can take the Most High when he comes back. Look at all the jets you have. Look at the tanks you have. Look at all these things. But the pillar of fire, we have evidence of that. It was there. It did pass through that shoreline. And when you go there, you can see evidence because it was over 3,000 degrees. It was so hot. It melted the soil. Stones are infused in melted soil. You can even see puddles where that soil was so hot, it melted so well that it turned into like a flat puddle with stones sticking out of it. and people went there and chipped away. You can see where the soil is melted together, where the pillar of fire passed through. And so Mr. Charles Lyell has some problems here. Trying to separate the science from Moses, not going to happen. We have to understand what Moses was saying, our father's journey, his truth of creation. Because remember, Moses and the first 5 books go hand in hand. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all of that. If you're throwing out Moses, you're throwing out our creation story. And that's what they were trying to do.